What's good, y'all? Welcome to another video. Today we are going to be talking about red flags you need to look for in men. I've been meaning to film this video for a very long time, but I just kept pushing it to the wayside. But here it is, right? Now I know there's probably men that clicked on this video because you have nothing to do and you decided to see what the red flags are and to see if you are a red flag. So let me just say right now, do not take any of this personal. This is literally based on my personal observation, based on men that I've dealt with, men that literally did some fuck shit to me, and men that I've been around that were friends, family, and men whom my friends and family have dated. So if you're not like that, that's fine. If you're like that, I guess that's also fine. But do something about it. Don't sit here cussing me out because you feel some type of way because you got called out. No, nobody got time for that. Ladies, don't be mad because I'm more than likely going to be making a version of this video for red flags to look for in women, because especially as women who are either bisexual, lesbian, non-binary, etc., dating women is different. Because just from my personal observation, first of all, if you're not aware, I was bi at one point, I thought, and then I realized I can't commit to women. I like D too much. That's literally what happened. I thought I really did. I really thought I was gay. Like, I was one of those. That's a story for another time, right? So I realized that when it comes to women, it's a different set of things that you need to look out for that are different when it comes to finding a friend versus a relationship. So again, I'll probably make a different version of this video. Let me actually write it in my notes so I do not forget during my next session of filming. And without further ado, let's get into it. So a first red flag in a man that you need to be wary of is he ain't got no life. He ain't got no job. He ain't got no education. He don't got no car. He ain't got his own spa. He don't got no money. He just has no life. At that point, he's just cute for no reason, or he's really not even that cute and you just in a hard time and you just fall for him for whatever fucking reason, even though the man could barely read. If a man has no life, more than likely it is due to a lot of other psychological or circumstantial factors. And there are times, and a lot of women feel this way, right? Oh, well, you can build him up, right? You feel like, oh, you can be there for him. He ain't never had nobody. Maybe if he gets with me, then he'll get his life together. I say this with love. Leave that man alone and go get yourself a fucking pet. Okay, if you want to put that much work into something, put it into a defenseless being that was put on this earth by the Creator themselves and is meant to be here so that we can nurture them and take care of them because they don't have a voice. Don't you sit there taking care of no grown-ass man because you think you can help them. Don't you sit there and try to literally give everything to a man who is literally fully capable of doing it for himself. And I say this because most of the time that is a thankless job. And that is not your job. And it is something that backfires almost every single time. Like, you see my accent starting to come out. That's how you already know. Like, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, just don't do it. Okay. I've fallen down the rabbit hole, not too far though. Like, I don't think I've ever really sat there and like made a man completely, but I've gone down that road before, you know, started, you know, being on that, oh, I could help him. He can change. He just needs a little child. And then the Lord showed me real quick, like, bitch, if you don't sit your ass down, like God showed me real quick, like, don't even do it. Please don't do it because bitch, like, so I say this with all due respect. You can't save him unless he wants to save himself. There's one thing, if there's one thing I've learned about men specifically, a man can only change for himself. 9 times out of 10, you're going to get into a situation where you try to change him and you're met with huge pushback because he's not ready or he doesn't want to, or he doesn't see that there's a problem, or the man is going to change and then leave you for another bitch. Happens too often. Okay. It's just like, let people go through their own life motions. Okay. And it's the same thing for men. Do not be out here trying to change and save these hoes. They don't want to be saved. Tied to that, they don't have a desire to be better, right? They have no goals, no aspirations, no 5-year, no 10-year plan. They're just living, okay? They're just empty vessels. They're just like, they have no emotion about anything. Chad, I've dated men like this and I have no idea what it is. I feel like I attract men like that specifically because I'm so extra. Like, I'm so full of life and I'm so like that, like the bored, no goal, no life having ass niggas just gravitate towards me. I don't play that shit no more though. Like, bitch, like obviously I'm in a committed relationship now, but in general, it's like back even before that, it was just like, don't even look at me if you don't have a 5-year plan in your life. Like, just don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Don't breathe my air. Like, I don't have time for it. So yeah, definitely a huge red flag, specifically because when it comes to men with no goals, they're going to lead you nowhere. I believe men are natural leaders. should be anyway, especially when it comes to their household and their relationship and who it is that they love. And it's like, if you have a man that can't lead you, what is the point? I mean, yes, you can be the leader as the woman, and I feel like we are leaders in our own way. But when it comes to just women leading and the man not doing shit, it just never ends well. So just be very, very wary of that red flag. Men who are attention whores. There is nothing worse than a man that is an attention whore, and I think that is a personal opinion of mine. But I also, just from what I've seen, what I've dealt with, men that want attention all damn day, right? Men who are always in women's faces or always flexing and flaunting and talking about how much money they have, what they do for others, are just dangerous, because that means either they're doing it just for the accolades of, oh, this is what I do, this is who I am, and etc., or they're insanely insecure and they're doing that to overcompensate. And that is actually extremely dangerous, because what happens is they will probably either A, use you as a trophy, or B, see you as inadequate and degrade you and disrespect you or fuck you over. It's a lot. Like, when it comes to attention-seeking men, there's a lot that goes into it. It either stems from insecurity or grandiosity or cockiness, which is another one, which I'm gonna get into after this. Like, it's weird, because it's like, I know a lot of people like to be like, oh, I'm conceited, da da da. There's nothing good about being conceited, because conceited is a false sense of self. That's what it is. Look up the definition, okay? It doesn't mean that you're confident. It means that you are conceited. Two completely different words. Same thing with being cocky. Nobody likes a cocky motherfucker, okay? And it's just like, it's just very annoying. It's overzealous. It's very like nobody wants to be with someone that is insanely just full of themselves. And of course, that brings me to my next one. A cocky nigga, a conceited nigga. I'm not really secure in myself, so I have to act like I am type of nigga is absolutely dangerous. Because again, these are the type of men that love to one-up themselves, one-up you, trying to make you seem or feel like you're less than, because they have to put themselves on a pedestal. They have to consistently prove something to people, to themselves, who fucking knows. It's just like, it's a constant wheel, like, right? It's like a hamster wheel. It's like they're always running on this wheel, because they always feel like, oh, I have to do this, I have to be this, I have to show this, I have to. It's like, sit down somewhere. And oftentimes when you see these type of men, these are the men that will try to wow you in 2.5. Like, it's like, oh, look at all my money, look at my chains, look at my cars, look at my this, look at my that. Oh, I did this, I put my mama up in the house, I brought my brother some Jordans. Like, very fucking annoying, very cocky, very annoying, very look at me, and it's just like, nobody asked you. Like, nobody asked you, and nobody cares. Like, nobody gives a fuck. So when it comes to men like that, you have to be extremely careful, because these are also men that, like, when they elevate, like actually elevate and start to get that confidence, it just becomes worse. It doesn't really ever tone them down, because at that point now they have the confidence that they've been faking. So it just becomes like, a lot of times they feel like, you know, they've become too good for you, or that they can level up and do better and get a better looking woman, or etc. But also oftentimes with these men, you'll notice that they expect you to put them on a pedestal in your life, and they become the priority, the importance, like nothing else matters. These are the men. I talked about this in my reasons you shouldn't wait. I think I briefly touched on it in the reasons you shouldn't be in a relationship type vibe, where I talked about, like, a lot of these men, a lot of times you'll have men that want you to uproot your life to be with them. And these are those type of men. The cocky, the overzealous, the conceited, the attention-seeking ass men. Those are the men that are going to be like, oh, well, if you really loved me, you moved to Wisconsin because I'm in Wisconsin. If you really wanted to be with me, you'd quit your job because I don't like that shit. Yeah, don't even do it. I don't care if it's been 9 years, leave, because it's just not going to end well. Mama boys, okay? Mama's boys. I've dealt with maybe two. And I will say, to be honest, it wasn't that bad. But I've been in very close proximity to people in relationships with mama's boys, and it's like hell on fucking earth. Like, it's probably one of the worst situations you can get in, especially if you get married to this person, because depending on the severity of the mama's boys, like I said, the two that I dated actually weren't that bad. But also it's like, how do I explain it? It's like the mother will always come first. The mother's opinions will always matter over yours. How they feel about you will drastically affect how the relationship goes. It's a very interesting thing to think about. Now that I think about it, it's just like, you're always going to have that third person in your relationship. And to be honest, it depends. Like, if you really fuck with the mom, it's probably not that bad. Like, my ex's mom loved that lady. Still have her on Facebook, to be honest, but that's also because that's one of my best friend's aunts. If you've been here before, you know, okay, literally, like, I dated my best friend's cousin in college. So that's why I still have the family on Facebook and stuff like that, but I don't interact with them, to be quite honest. But like, she'll comment on my stuff. She'll send me kind messages here and there. Personally, I feel like if you can get along with the mom, the relationship will be fine. But if you can't, hell on earth. Like it's crazy because like I've seen some really bad situations go on specifically because mama's boys, especially when it comes to Haitian women and their fucking sons. Like, it's just something you don't want to be involved with. Okay, you don't. African women and their fucking sons, you just don't want to get involved with it. Like, because it ends up being such a messy, problematic, sticky, hurtful, emotional roller coaster that you just don't want to be in. And it's like that woman will always fucking be there. Like, she always will be there. It doesn't even matter whether she's across the country, she lives in the same town, she lives in the same house, or she's deceased. That woman will always fucking be there. She will always be a huge part of his life. And there's nothing wrong with that if it's a healthy connection. But a lot of the mother and son relationships are just extremely unhealthy. Like, you see the TikTok trends of the boy moms and stuff like that. And it's just like, y'all are fucking weird. Like, it's giving you want to fuck your son. I said what I said. I meant what I said. And I'll say it again. And in my next point, we have the opposite of that, right? The men with mommy issues. This is fucking scary. I've dealt with one man in the past with mommy issues. I think I did a story time about him years ago. Like maybe like 5-6 years ago. Men with mommy issues are scary because most of them, not all of them. No. Yeah, most of them. And it's just like women with daddy issues, right? They have a skewed way of seeing relationships and they have a different perception of what a relationship should be and what a man or woman's role should be in a relationship, which will deeply affect your relationship and more than likely fuck it up bad. A lot of these men tend to have negative feelings towards women, just like a lot of women who don't have fathers have negative feelings towards men. I just feel like people shouldn't fucking have kids if they're not going to have both parents in the household, okay? Or at least if they're not going to have a positive representation of every type of person in that child's life, because it just leads to so many horrible psychological issues that need fixing with therapy. Because you get used to living without your mom, living without your dad, to when you now get introduced to romantic relationships, you don't know how to act because you've never seen your parents interact in that way, or you never had a positive representation of love or relationships in your life to model. And I think it's just common sense. Like, if you never seen it, you don't know. You know, you don't know what you don't know. If you knew better, you do better. Very, very simple concept. But I think a lot of people fail to realize that, right? Like, oh, I'm not going to judge him because he didn't have a mom. I'm not going to judge her because she didn't have a dad. But a lot of times, them not having a mom or dad really does genuinely affect your relationship. It has nothing to do with you judging per se. It doesn't have anything to really do with you writing them off, judging them. It has a lot to do with you being mindful of how them not having a mom or them not having a dad will truly affect your relationship, especially negatively, because that's what usually ends up happening for a lot of people. Y'all, I'm trying to fix my hair. I'm sorry if it looks weird. But anyways, so yeah, in a general sense, and I mean this with the utmost respect. In most cases, when it comes to that, you more than likely will end up seeing loads of red flags just because of that alone. Now, again, it's not the person's fault that they didn't have a mom or dad, but it is something that that person should be mindful of and more than likely gone to therapy for before even getting into a relationship. I feel like when it comes to a lot of like men, especially, like they refuse to go to therapy. And it's just like, you knowing you ain't had no damn mom and you already know that you see women in a certain way and that's not okay. You refuse to go to therapy for that. It's like, yeah, huge red flag. And that goes into my next point. Not wanting to go to therapy, but showing huge signs of anger, violence, emotional instability, and not wanting to do anything about it. Men who talk down on therapy, men who think that going to therapy is problematic or pussy or shows that you're like clinically insane are insanely problematic because it's 2025. There's no reason for you to have that opinion when the internet is in front of you and in your hand every fucking day. There's no reason why you talk horribly about women or you literally have issues where your heart is racing all the time. You probably have anxiety. There's no reason why you're probably fucking addicted to weed. And yes, I'm one of those people. Yes, you can be fucking addicted to weed. I grew up in the hood. You can't tell me half them niggas not addicted to weed, okay? And you telling me that's not a fucking problem, okay? You can't tell me that you don't think that you need to talk to somebody about that. Like, I just think, like, ignorance is also another one. Ignorant men that refuse to see other perspectives. Like, it's one thing to have that opinion, right? It's one thing to be like, oh, well, like, therapy is dumb and I don't like it. and then you give it a shot and it's like, all right, you know what, this actually isn't bad. Like, this was a really like good thing. I'm happy you made me do it. Like, I think men that are open-minded versus ignorant are phenomenal. Like, if you're open-minded and you're going to try something even if you don't agree with it, that shows that you're able to grow. That shows that you have a student-like mindset, which I think is great. But the ignorant ones that are like, oh, like, just everything is bad and that's my opinion and I don't give a fuck and I think this is dumb and I think, like, you need to look out for those red flags. Like, men specifically who just, they're set in their ways. But most notably, like my last point, men that refuse to go to therapy and refuse to acknowledge all the issues that they have. Of course, we have lack of accountability. To be honest with you, I feel like this one is very hard to catch because men lie, and a lot of men lie very, very well. Okay, well, a lot of men lie very well to us when we're in love or we're hooked or we whipped. Because realistically, a lot of times when you hear a lot of men speak, they're not talking about nothing. Like, they really not saying nothing that you can't just see past. And this is why, like, a lot of us end up cutting off our friends or family because they'll tell you, like, he said what? That don't make no sense. He's lying. Or, yeah, what he said didn't seem right. Or he seems off. And we sit there and be like, no, don't talk about my man like that. And it's like, they're seeing what you can't because you're whipped and you're confused and you heard the story in a different setting. Like, your ears were in a different setting because you actually have a emotional attachment to this person, right? Like, you're not hearing or seeing what you need to see because you like this person on another type of level, while me or your friends or your whatever is gonna be like, nigga, you don't see that this is a problem? Like, because I'm not hooked, okay? I didn't touch that man. I don't know nothing about him. He ain't tell me no crazy convoluted story that I'm gonna believe right on sight because it sounds like it's believable, right? Men that sit there and it's like, it's nothing is ever their fault. They have all these crazy exes. They all did this, that, and the third to them. They did nothing wrong. Child. Huge red flag, especially if this man is talking about their ex like on the first fucking date and they're bashing them. They talk about their baby mother. They talk about how their baby mother's stupid. They talk. Stay away from these people. Like, when I'm telling you, just toxic, problematic, like every word in the book that you can think of is what they are. And they will put you in some shit. Obviously, infidelity and promiscuity. If you come across a man and he automatically tells you like, yeah, you know, like me and my ex, we didn't work out because I cheated, red flag. I'm not saying he's going to cheat on you. I'm not saying he's cheated on every girl he's been with. But how am I going to word this? A lot of people have cheated, right? See, the thing is, you have to take into consideration, and this is for everyone, right? Why they cheated, how often they cheated, how they handled the cheating situation, if the person knew that they cheated, if they broke up due to the cheating. Like, it's a lot of different things, right? And there's different levels of cheating, even though a lot of people be like, no, cheating is cheating. No, there's different levels. There's texting and having like an emotional connection. There's sex, there's kiss, there's literally having a whole nother side person. There's different levels of cheating. I feel like that matters as well. But infidelity and promiscuity, all of that is a red flag, because if they're willing to meet you for the first or second time and they're already talking about how they was fucking and sucking on other people and they were unfaithful and they think that's going to fly by you, it's a test. Okay, they're more than likely testing you to see how you react to that, because most men, especially emotionally intelligent men, are not going to even tell you about that because they know that that shit makes them look bad. Like, you got to think about shit on a common sense level. You're not going to go tell someone that you're interested in, oh yeah, me and my ex didn't work out because I cheated. That's just dumb as fuck, okay? And even if you do, it's something that you're going to use as a learning lesson maybe, or like, yeah, but I'm not like that anymore. Like, no, like most men are just not dumb enough to do that. And if they are, it's like more than likely they're doing it to see how you react to it, to see what they can do to you. Because if you sit there and you're like, oh, well, you cheated. Well, what did she do? Did she cheat first? It's like, oh, okay, well, this bitch, she down for anything. If, you know, if it's like, I did this to her because she did this, then she down for anything. There's a lot that goes into that, but it's just a red flag, because most of the time you're not going to say anything that makes you look bad in a first or second date. Next one is promiscuity. Why can't I say the word today? Being a whore. Man whores are insanely problematic, because most people that are like that, like most men who are like that, have no self-respect, because they literally stick their peen in any and everything. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, it's I'm a man, or that's a man. It's different than if it's a woman. It's all horrible. If you're throwing that ass in a circle, you need help. You need psychological help, and you need to be making sure you're getting tested every fucking 3 months at the bare minimum. Okay, shit every month to be safer, but shit every week realistically, because it's just like, I genuinely don't understand how people get on like that. I don't understand how people live their life like that. But most importantly, especially when it comes to men that seem to be more promiscuous, like they seem to fall in that cockiness thing. Like a lot of them be like, yeah, I was fucking this bitch here and I was fucking this bitch there and I was doing this with this one right there. I got a woman right there. And it's like they think that it's admirable. They think that it's okay. They think that it's something that's going to give them some sort of brownie points, or it's something where like girls are going to be like, oh, okay, like you get the bitches. No, it's absolutely disgusting. Don't even look at me. I don't even want to hug you. I don't want to hug you. Don't look at me. Don't breathe my air. It's actually kind of disgusting. And the fact that they even talk about women that way, the fact that they think it is okay to even tell people about that is just wild. Like, I feel like if you're going to be a hoe, be honest about it, but be quiet about it. Like, it's one thing to be like, yeah, you know, I get a lot of women. You know, I have a lot of sex. I think it should just be there. But like when you're saying like, yeah, I do this and I was fucking my coworker then, it is classless and it is concerning. Okay. Like, it's just like, ew. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, no. Very, very big red flag. Because do I even need to explain why that's a big red flag? Come on. Emotionally unstable men, just like mentally unstable men, emotionally unstable men just give I shoot up schools. Let me not say that. They just give I pick up the blicky every time I give a problem. Like every time there's an issue, I solve it with violence. A lot of emotionally unstable men do tend to be violent. And obviously that's a red flag because we want to make sure you're safe. Okay. Family issues. Now, what I've noticed with a lot of men that have or carry family issues is that a lot of times they're the problem. And it's the same thing with women. And it's not they're the problem in terms of they're the problem because they cause the problems. They're the problems because they tolerate staying in those problems. They tolerate being the fixer for those problems. And they tolerate everybody's behavior. I'm one of those people, literally. And I had to recognize it and be like, yeah, no, how about I just don't be part of it? Like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to come every time you call just to solve an issue. I don't give a fuck. You know, and it takes a strong person to be like, listen, that's my family. I love y'all. And I know you're having issues, but I have to distance myself from this. I have to pull myself away from this. And I feel like with a lot of men with those family issues, I feel like a lot of them live for the drama. And I think that's a person thing. Like even women, like it's just a people thing. Like some of them, they thrive, they live, they're used to constantly and consistently being in issues that they have to solve. And it's a red flag because they're going to carry that shit into the relationship, because when things get okay, when things are less stressful, when things are not as drama filled, they're going to find a problem to you. They're going to find drama to highlight their life, to make their lives feel more interesting. And that is actually like not okay at all. Like it really isn't. It's a huge red flag. Kids. Out of wedlock kids. This is the thing, right? If men could say it about us, I could say it about them. The fact that a lot of y'all women be out here accepting these men with their fucking multiple kids, lying about their baby mothers, don't play child support is absolutely insane. Like, absolutely insane. Especially a man that's had a kid when they were like fucking 14, 16, 21. Like, I don't care. Like, I think that having kids out of wedlock is not only problematic, but it perpetuates stereotypes as well as creates. And not only do I think that having kids out of wedlock is insanely problematic for obvious reasons, but I think it perpetuates stereotypes, and it also creates and perpetuates the idea of broken homes within the Black community and every community, to be honest with you. Like the whole idea of having a structured family is like dying. And I feel like the reason a lot of people are suffering, especially the kids in these later generations, are because they're not being brought up with a village. And this whole idea of normalizing, congratulating, accepting the fact that men are out here having babies at 12 is crazy, because y'all sit there and y'all demonize women for being 16 and pregnant, but we never think about the men that are 16 and pregnant. Yes, and I said pregnant. Yes, they're not holding the kids, but they are still fucking fathers at 14, 16, 12. Like, that is not okay. Like, I think that something needs to be said about that, and it is a huge red flag. It shows that you had no parental guidance, or you didn't give a fuck for the parental guidance. It shows that you were literally fucking and sucking instead of caring about your education, because why do you have a kid at 14? It also shows that there was a lack in caring to be with your kid at a full-time basis. And this one is very personal, very much a personal opinion. I just feel like, yeah, even though I don't believe people should be tied down in relationships when they're like fucking 16, 19, 20, whatever, I also feel like when there's a kid in the equation, things should change and people should try to work it out for the betterment of that child. If it's toxic, people are hitting each other, and it really is bad for your overall mental health or whatever, then so be it. But I feel like, especially when they get passes for telling these convoluted stories about why they're not with their baby mothers and nobody bats an eye. But then when you see a woman that was a young mother, it's like, oh my God, she must have been a whore. It's like, and what was the father? I'm confused. Like, no. Huge red flag. Bad attitude. Nothing's worse than a man with a bad attitude. Rolls eyes, acts like a bitch, calls you names, sits there and like sub-posts you on Instagram and Twitter every time you have an argument. These men are fucking child red flags, like just walking red flags. Like, these are men that you can tell, and I hate to say it like this, and I'm sorry if you get offended, you could tell these men were raised by their mother, their aunts, their grandmothers, and there was no men around, because it's like they're just bitch made. They have bad attitudes like they're 12-year-old girls. Like, that's something that you'll notice straight on, and it's a huge red flag that you need to avoid, because I promise you it does not get better. Like, literally, like a man acting like a kid to me or acting like a girl, no, like I just can't. Like, I can't stand for it. It's not something that I will ever look at and find okay. Like, it's just strange. The next one, and I think it's very personal to me, but I feel like it can be something that is important to others: a man with no culture. And I'm not saying like, oh, well, they're white American, they have no culture. No, I'm talking about like a man that doesn't care about where they come from. A man that doesn't care about longevity of where they come from. Like, how are you Puerto Rican and you don't speak Spanish? That shit is fucking crazy to me. Like, I'm sorry, especially when it's like you're fucking a whole 30 years old. You telling me you couldn't learn Spanish? Literally, Spanish is the second language of the United States. How the fuck are you Hispanic and you don't speak Spanish? How are you Haitian and you don't speak Creole? Like, that shit, I just think that that's a huge red flag, because it shows a complete disregard of where you come from, where you're going, and most importantly, the legacy that you want to leave behind, because where you're from is a huge part of who you are. Whether you come from the United States, you come from France, you come from Spain, you come from Brazil, you come from Australia, it is extremely important to know who you are, care about who you are, and pass it on, because it is important to the upbringing of your offspring. Wherever it is that you're from, it's just important not only to know the language, know the history, know the food. It's just like, even if you don't completely indulge in it, it's important to show that you care about it in some way, sense, form, because it is where you come from and it has a lot to do with who you are today. Even if you have an adopted culture, right? Like, there's a lot of people like, oh, well, my family's from Germany, but you know, I live in America now, so I don't know much about Germany. I mean, I guess, like, at least adopt the American culture. Like, I just feel like you have to have some sort of fucking culture about you. Like, it's just very strange that there's people really walking out there like that they're from Sudan, don't give a fuck that they're from China. Like, it's just, oh, well, I'm American, or I live in the UK now, so I don't care. It's like, okay, hey, for a lot of y'all, that's probably not important, but for me, I feel like that's important to me, and it's important to a lot of people out there as well. Controlling and or possessive. Now, obviously, this ties into a man just being violent. I feel like there's certain things that I didn't really need to mention because I think it's common sense, right? If a man is yelling at you, screaming at you, putting hands on you, like, realistically, that is a huge red flag, and you need to fucking leave immediately, because it never ends well. You can literally lose your life. But some things that are a little bit more subtle that a lot of people don't talk about and don't pay attention to and don't give much premise to are men that are just very controlling and possessive. They don't want you to go out with your friends. They don't want you to go to work. They don't want you to go to school. They don't want you to do anything. They want to pay for everything. And a lot of women, especially in this climate, will be like, oh, well, that's great that he wants to pay for anything and everything. And, you know, he doesn't want me to work. Like, he really cares about me. No, he just wants to control you. That's why he pays your phone bill, because he could cut it off. That's why he buys the groceries, because he can starve you. That's why he pays the internet, because he can, again, cut it off. He wants to isolate you if you fall out of line. And that's what I've seen happen too many fucking times. Like, it's actually heartbreaking to think about how many people I know who have personally went through that. And they be on some, oh, well, it's great that he loves me and he cares about me and he didn't know. And a lot of this I see happens with a lot of women who have had damaging relationships with their dads. Not absent dads, damaging relationships with their dads, because most women who never had a dad don't trust men anyway. So they're more than likely not going to let a man have that much control on their life. But the women out there that had damaging relationships, like relationships where their dad just wasn't present, but they were physically there, or like dads that were toxic or even inappropriately did things with them or whatever, like, a lot of times I see that they're prone to these types of relationships with men that are very controlling and possessive, because they felt like they had no control in their lives and the man is giving them the control that they crave, or they felt defenseless and helpless, and it's like, oh, well, this man is here to help me. There's a lot of psychological things that go into that. So it's just like, be very, very careful, because a lot of times it comes off as like, oh, he loves and he cares about me, but they're really love bombing you. And that goes into my next one. Love bombing is a huge red flag. And it's either because they're trying to control and possess you and do fuck shit to you, and they're trying to reel you in so that you stay stuck, or because they're deeply insecure and they're afraid to lose you to the point where it's like they just love bomb you because they want to keep you. Either way, huge red flags in both. Both those type of men need therapy. Just steer clear. Of course, tied to those last few points is jealousy. I like my men a little jealous, just this much. But when it gets to a point where you like what you doing, where you at, who you was with, why you not answering, blah. Because who the fuck are you talking to? My parents don't even bother me. Well, they do. But it's just like, only my parents could do that. Like, who the fuck is you? Like, it's very strange. You know, when it gets to a point where it's like you can't hang out with your friends because it's like, what are you doing with your friends? Why are you not with me? When it comes to a point where you're trying to go to an event and it's like, oh, I want you to be with me, not at the event. It's like, cry me a river. Nobody gives a fuck. Okay? Big red flag. Addiction. Now, personally, I don't think we should judge people based off their addictions because most of the time their addictions are not their fault. It has a lot to do with their given circumstances and they fell too deep, too fast. And it really depends on a lot of different factors, but a lot of times they can't get help. They don't have the access to help, or they have tried to get help and it just didn't work, right? What I mean by addiction is be careful with men with addictive personalities. I've dealt with a lot of men with addictive personalities and I've realized that sometimes it's minor, like, okay, they had an apple this week and they really love apples. So now they're going to continue to eat apples for the next month or so because now it's a thing that they like. They picked up vaping. Now they vape all the time because it's something that they really, really like. Oh, well, okay. They really like this shirt and they keep fucking wearing this shirt because they really, really like it. And it's like, a lot of times it can be harmless, but there's times where you come across a man with an addictive personality that now they kind of become obsessed with you and it becomes very scary, or they become just like obsessed with things that they obviously shouldn't be obsessed with because it is detrimental to them. So drugs, alcohol, other substances. And it's like, obviously that can really ruin your relationship. So steer clear of men with addictive personalities, or just be very careful with them, I should say. Constant disrespect and calling you out of your name. This honestly should have been the first one. There's no reason why you think it makes sense to be with a man that screams at you, calls you out of your name, or anything of the sort. Because at the end of the day, you are a human being and you need to be treated with respect. Point blank, period. I'm not even about to sit there and try to be like, you're a queen and you need to be treated as such. No, you're a human being and you need to be treated with respect. The whole idea of normalizing the fact that people scream at each other in relationships, normalizing the fact that in relationships, things are going to be hard. So you have to accept certain things the way they are and not get mad or not feel any type of way when things happen is bullshit. No one should be screaming at you. Nobody should be cursing at you. Nobody. I don't care if it's a friend, family, mom, dad. Well, mom, dad's a little different. But in general, like, the people in your life should respect you, especially the person that you love and somebody that you care about and somebody that's supposed to be your significant other. If that man is consistently disrespect you, he calls you fat, he calls you dumb, he calls you every name in the book, and you think that's okay, it's not. I'm here to tell you it's not. It is a huge red flag and you need to nip it in the butt as soon as it happens, or it's never going to stop. Not maybe, never going to stop. It don't matter, because at that point, if you let that nigga talk to you any type of way, you let that nigga cheat on you, whatever the case may be, and you, okay, babe, it's okay. That nigga's always gonna do it. That's it. Because you taught him how to treat you. He did fuck shit and you kept letting him do it. So now he's going to continue to do it. And I don't think people understand that. And it's just like with kids, right? If you let a kid dirty a house, right? And they continuously keep dirtying the house, leaving their stuff everywhere, being disrespectful to property, being disrespectful to the home, drawing on the walls, and you don't tell them, hey, you cannot draw on the walls. Hey, you need to clean up. Hey, you know, like, this is not what we do on our home. They're going to continuously do it. You don't teach them how to clean up after themselves. They're going to, same thing with people, right? If someone is cheating, cussing you out, doing whatever, treating you any type of way, even if they don't think that there's anything wrong with it, they're going to continue to do it even though you told them you have a problem with it, because they are not used to you calling it out as soon as it happens. As soon as that first time it happens, you let it continuously happen, it's just gonna, it's gonna be delayed. Everything's gonna hit the fan, because it's like, oh, well, you didn't say anything the first 20 times I did it. Why is it a problem now? It's over. Just cut your losses. Being secretive. Now I know that there's a lot of men out there that are very private, in particular people. There's a lot of people out there that are very private, don't like people in their business. But by secretive, I mean like they don't tell you anything about what they're doing ever. It's like what you ate. Oh, well, like, why are you asking all that? What you doing this weekend? Why? We going somewhere? Red fucking flag. Cut off now. Being serious too fast. This also ties into my previous point of love bombing. A lot of women mistake this for, oh, well, you know, if a man knows, he knows. A lot of women kind of mistake this for like, oh, well, he loves me. A man knows when he knows. Like, you know, we've only known each other for 6 months, but we're already married. Like, no, that's actually insanely problematic, especially in this climate. Like, yeah, back in like the 17, 18, 1900s, that kind of made sense because it was like, back then, it was like people cared more about marriage and starting families like at 18, you know, even younger. But it's like in 2025, it's like with all your options out there, with all the things that there are to consider when it comes to marriage, mortgages, finances, jobs, kids, all that, it's like marrying and locking someone down that quickly is just a huge red flag because it shows the person just wants to tie you down and fuck your life up for a lot of different reasons. Okay. So yeah, huge red flag. Tying into that, we have copying your interest. To be honest, this one is actually kind of scary because a lot of times these are like obsessive men, violent men, problematic men, men that stalk, men that love bomb, men that like they tread into the territory of like abusive in very numerous ways. These are the men that like, oh my God, your favorite color is blue. My favorite color is blue too. Oh my God, you like baseball? I love baseball. Oh my God, you love denim? I love denim. Meanwhile, they hate all those things and they're only saying that because they want to get in your pants or they want to make it seem like they really care about you and they really don't. Like they're literally more than likely trying to gain a certain type of access to you, whether it's money, emotions, control. It's sad because a lot of women fall into that one, right? Like they fall into the disrespect because they think they deserve it. They fall into, let me look at my notes real quick. They fall into the lack of accountability because it's a good story and it sounds believable. And it's just like, y'all, we need to start opening our eyes and just like calling the red flags for what they are and following accordingly after that. The next one, okay, tying to all of those previous points is codependency. I feel like this one could be worked through, but it's something that if you see it in the first like week or month of dealing with this person, then you need to just cut your losses because nobody got time to go through the problems of having a codependent person in a relationship. Now, I will say I am guilty of this. I'm one of those people that was very codependent on whoever it was that I was in a relationship with. And to be honest, it's because I have neglect issues, not necessarily like daddy issues or mommy issues or like whatever, what's the other one? Whatever. It's just like I'm used to being by myself all the time, right? I'm very self-sufficient. I'm very independent. So it's like when I finally get in a relationship with someone, I want to do things with them all the time. So there's times where I'll feel offended if they want to do something else and they don't want to be with me. Now I don't give a fuck. Please go be with your friends. Do whatever. And I used to be like this with friends too, which is so weird. But like the friend thing was more so when I was younger. But now that I've gotten older, like now that I've gotten over, it's something that I've worked through in therapy. Thank God for therapy, to be honest. But yeah, codependency is hard because you get people that actually do the work to get over it, like I did, or you get the people that don't give a fuck because they don't give a fuck, or they just don't know that they're codependent because no one's ever called it out. Because with your friends, they probably see it as, oh, she's just needy. Oh, she's just emotional. In relationships, it's like, oh my God, you really love me. No, it's codependency and it's not healthy. Of course, we have only want sex. Okay. This is the thing. I've seen relationships start off as just a fling and end in beautiful marriages. But I've also seen relationships start off like that and end up in fucking tragedy. So this one is very subjective. It really does depend. And I just want you guys to have a better understanding of a lot of what I mentioned as well as other things when it comes to the red flags. Because if that person only wants you for sex and it's coupled with cockiness, infidelity, promiscuity, lack of accountability, having kids at a young age. Like if it's like coupled with a lot of that, it's like, it's just not going to end well because already the relationship was based on lust, and then they have all these other fucking issues. So red flag to steer away from. My final one is inconsistency, right? If the person literally only gives a fuck about you for the first month of the relationship and now they're barely texting you back, you're spending days without talking to them, you haven't seen them in like 3 weeks, they don't give a fuck, they don't reach out, I don't even know if I have to tell you that's a red flag. I think that's common sense. Like, certain things were common sense, so I omitted it from it, but there's certain things that I just had to say because it's like you don't realize it until after the fact when you look back and you done wasted your time, right? The whole essence of the video is steer clear of the red flags, because a lot of times the red flags just look like us passing judgment, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with judging a situation for what it is. There's nothing wrong for looking at someone's life choices and being like, maybe I don't want to be with someone that doesn't pay their bills. Maybe I don't want to be with someone that lies about their baby mother or tells very awful stories about their exes. Maybe I don't want to be with someone that chooses to love bomb instead of try to get to know me, or tries to match my interests instead of telling me their own. I want you guys to be very, very careful, especially right now. It's a scary time. All I gotta say is I'm happy I ain't single, baby, because y'all motherfuckers going through it, and it's just like, I wanted to put this video out there, and I'm going to do more videos out there, more girl talks or whatever, because yeah, like I feel like we need to, protect one another. We need to tell each other what's going on. We need to really like be open and honest about these conversations, because there's a lot of people out there losing their lives. Okay. There's a lot of people out there that are in the dating scene that were unsuspecting victims of violence and accidents. And it's just like, a lot of these things could be avoided. So with that being said, let me know down below, what are some signs that I missed? What are some that you have observed within yourself or other people? Most importantly, check my description box for the other channels, and join the Patreon or join the memberships on my other 2 channels, because, they are open. Shout out to those of you guys who have already joined. I love you guys so very much. And with that being said, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. And I'm going to see y'all next time.